I'm glad I stuck to wanting to be respected because I knew that was going to be my path. But it really goes to show you, if you're not respected, what are you? And I'd rather be a respected guy who gets 500 yards a season than an unrespected guy who gets 1,000 yards a season. Better yet, be the respected guy who gets 1,000 yards a season. That's who you should thrive to be.
Welcome to Athlete Country Club, the podcast built for parents, athletes, and competitors chasing the next level. I'm your host, Marcus McMaryion, former Division I quarterback, now founder of Athlete Country Club. I started this show because, like many of you, I had to learn the recruiting process the hard way, traveling up and down the state, spending thousands trying to figure out what actually works. Each week, we break it down through two powerful segments. First, Coach Talk. This is where we sit down with college coaches, director of player personnel, recruiters to uncover exactly what they look for when offering scholarships. No fluff, just the truth from people making the decisions. Second, Athlete CEO. Here we go beyond the field, into habits, training, and mindset that build elite performance and long-term success. You'll hear from strength coaches, nutritionists, sports psychologists, and former athletes who've turned their grind into greatness in business, leadership, and life. Because being an athlete isn't just about playing the game, it's about mastering it and building your legacy beyond it. So whether you're a parent trying to navigate recruiting or an athlete ready to level up, you're in the right place. Welcome to Athlete Country Club, where we turn potential into performance and performance into purpose. What's good, everybody? Welcome to Athlete Country Club podcast. I'm your host, Marcus McMaryion. Today's guest is someone I generally consider one of my best friends, but also someone who unknowingly kind of played a massive role in my transition into Fresno State culture and kind of relationships early on. And I still remember getting invited to Frank's birthday dinner, going to the Limelight afterward, and kind of next thing you know, I'm meeting teammates, building friendships, and kind of becoming part of that brotherhood in a deeper way. But what's crazy about the Dalena family is I honestly don't know if there's another family in Fresno State football history that's had three brothers all wear the Bulldog jersey. You got Frank, Mac, and Joe. That says something about the culture and kind of the loyalty and how they were raised. But Frank walked on at Fresno State after playing at Memorial and eventually became one of the most respected culture guys in the locker room. And now he's built one of the biggest athlete-driven media brands in the Central Valley through Bring the Juice. And obviously fast forward a few years later, now he's interviewing NFL players and hosting one of the most electric golf tournaments in California and building an ecosystem that started with, honestly, just taking action on an idea. So Frank, brother, welcome to Athlete Country Club podcast.
What an intro. Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate it. Happy to be here. I know we've been on the mic and behind the camera many times and on different platforms, I feel like, and we've both didn't study this in college, but hey, look who's doing it still, right? So it winners find a way as always. So excited. You guys are growing, so it's fun to finally hop on the show.
Yeah, no, 100%. I want to kind of take it all the way back. We kind of talked about a little bit in the intro, like three brothers playing at Fresno State. Like, I have three boys, and one could only hope that all three of my boys play in college to some capacity. But like, what was the competition like growing up in the Dalena household?
Yeah, high, to say it in one word. Competition was high, and it wasn't just football. It was anything. It was who could do the dishes the fastest, who could take the trash out, who could pick the dog poop up. We used to play this game. My dad, we would if my dad was watching like the ball game or something like that, we would get a laundry bin full of any ball we had in the house. Nerf ball, like stuff you get at like a convention for free, actual football, tennis ball, doesn't matter. Something that you could throw. And we'd put them in this laundry basket and we'd try to run across this little window next to the TV. And my dad, it was like dodgeball. My dad would try to hit us with it. Obviously, nobody would get hurt, but he would try to hit us with it. If you got hit, you were out. If you caught it, you got a point. And we called it duck. And my mom is kind of brushed on it, but it's like, I think that's where the hand-eye coordination kind of came from. And your first day of football, you really don't know what position you're going to play. There's the running back line, and my dad was a running back type guy. There was receivers. I knew I didn't want to be a quarterback. So you just pick at the position line, and it ends up being the lineage of your family for the next, 15 years of your life playing wide receiver. So it started competitive, it ended competitive. And the whole time, though, the reason I think each of us got to go to that level is some brothers get envious of each other, or they treat them, like they're just a guy living in their house. We all shared a room pretty much our entire life, and having that competitive atmosphere. I say iron sharpens iron all the time. That's really what it was. It's like, okay, well, Frank was on varsity as a sophomore. I want to be on varsity as a freshman. Frank only had, you know, 6 touchdowns his junior year. I want to have 10. And when you're trying to beat the guy ahead of you, next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain and you're an ass kicker, right? And that's just kind of how the lineage started and developed. And obviously, Marcus, you were a part of it when you came to Fresno State. Like, it's crazy to think, like, my brother Mac, like, he was getting recruited kind of sort of while we were playing at Fresno State. And then it turned into, okay, he got his offer. I'll never forget when he got his offer. And then for him to have the career he had, and now he's playing in the NFL and he's in New York doing his thing. It's crazy how full circle it is. It feels like it wasn't that long ago. But going back to Fresno State itself, it was always where we wanted to play. It means something different being a guy who grows up in the Valley to play for the Dogs. And I know you got to play at Oregon State and at Fresno State and had different experiences at both. Um, I know you could agree with me in a test. Like, when you're the guy who grew up trying to win Valley championships in high school, and you get to go win a Mountain West championship at Fresno State, like that's peak. That's peak. It's you could go play at Georgia and be from Fresno and win an SEC championship, and nobody really cares because that's not where we're at. Um, so, with that being said, when we had success at Fresno State, obviously it enticed my brothers to want to follow, and God blessed us with the opportunity to do that. I guess God and Jeff Tedford really blessed us with the opportunity to make that happen. And you know, I uh, I always kind of reminded them and had to do self reflection often at times of that seventh grade Frank, that eighth grade Frank, that sophomore year of high school Frank, who would do anything to play D1 football, to play for the Dogs. And as you know, when you're an athlete, there's hard days. There's days where you're like, dude, it's 5 a.m. Shit is not going my way. Um, Maybe I'm battling an injury. Maybe school's not great. Girlfriend's not great. Mom and dad are, yelling at me in both directions. Like, you get built up pressure, and a lot of time it's in your own mind. But sometimes to take that step back and look back, that full scope image of that younger you who would do anything to run down that ramp, right? To go to a spring ball practice and be a part of it. Those small reminders, they come into play and drive you to be the guy you become, which was at that point was a Fresno State football player and having a lineage of brothers behind me. So a cool thing, but definitely a lot went on behind the scenes. And we're not 6'5", 250. We're all kind of undersized guys. So it's a rare breed to be a white boy wide receiver. And there's little maneuvers, man. There's finding ways to just win the reps during winter ball, to be improving in the weight room, to being an asset to the program, not a liability. And I think that's very much underlooked these days, where if you're just, you know, going to class, your GPA is in the threes, you're staying out of trouble, when it's you're making your times, your plays, you show up on time with a notebook out and open like you're supposed to, just doing those controls, the controlling the controllables, you're already in the top 50% of your competition on that roster right then and there. So I learned that by just trying to, turn a small opportunity into an awesome experience. And I was able to relay that to my brothers, and, it worked out, which is awesome.
Yeah, and you kind of talk about turning that small opportunity into something big. Obviously, you've expanded on your playing career at Fresno State to bring the juice and your new adventure that we'll talk about in a little bit here. But just kind of talk to that kind of side of things. I mean, growing up, people could argue that playing college sports is one of the most difficult things to do because, like you said, it's waking up at 5 a.m., working out when you don't want to work out, going to class when you don't want to go to class sometimes. And it's like little things like that. Like you're doing things that need to get done no matter the emotions that are attached to it. And I think you've had a unique experience growing up in your family business. I mean, one could argue, I mean, I'll argue for you. I don't know if you agree with me, but what you're doing currently might be more difficult than college football schedule. So kind of talk about how discipline and grit have just kind of emerged from being around it your whole life through your family business.
Yeah, so my family is onion farmers, and my upbringing is I got to grow as the business grew. I grew up where my dad would come home, eat dinner, and have to go to bed because he was waking up 2 a.m. to go to work and do it all over again. And when you're a business owner, there isn't some other guy who's going to do it for you. It's like you eat last, right? You eat last. So when your back's against the wall like that, you got to find a way to win. My dad married my mom, who is just the hungriest dog I've ever met. Like a shark in the best ways possible, knows how to make something out of nothing. And their dynamic spearheaded what is now Dalena Farms, which is now a highly sought after onion operation that provides onions all across the world. But growing up, there was no, you want to go to summer camp, you want to go have a sleepover at your buddies. It's like, hey, we're leaving for work at 4:30. We're gonna stop at Carl's Jr. to get some French toast sticks because that's the only thing that's open at that time of the day. And you're gonna be on the ranch, whether it's like driving forklift, working in the fields, helping out, doing something in the office. Like you're part of the operation. So I truly grew up on it, and a tradition that my dad and my uncles and aunts kind of had when they were growing up is they were taught how business actually operated, and they had a zucchini patch. So this tradition was passed on to me. You were given about 1 acre of land. You were taught how, if you want to invest, you have to rent the land, you have to rent the water, you have to buy the irrigation system, you have to plant the seed, and then my dad would help me with the farming side of things. So these zucchini plants would come about. And one thing, I don't know if people know this about zucchini or not, but it's ready during the summertime, which fit perfectly. So school was out, and every morning I'd come to work, I'd get dropped off with 5 gallon buckets and a knife, and I'd pick zucchini in the fields with nobody coming to hold your hand. And you could ask my brothers about this. Like those zucchini days really wired something differently because there was no cop out. There was no, hey, I can't go tomorrow. I don't feel that great. Or, hey, so and so's having a birthday party. Like they held us to that standard where you're going to lose all your money in your investment if you don't go pick zucchini. And sometimes it was on Saturdays, right? Saturday morning, you want to watch cartoons? Sorry, I got to go pick zucchini squash. I'm in fourth grade. I'm in fifth grade doing this. And that really calloused my mind. And as I got older and continued to do it, and again, you'd go full circle with this thing. You'd call the San Francisco produce market and say, hey, I have 80 packages. The guy would say, okay, they're going for $10 a pop. I'd say, these are really nice. Can I get 11.50? He'd say, I'll meet you halfway. We'll do 11. And it's like you're learning how to negotiate with the grown ass man who does this for a living. And but like I said, it calloused my mind. And as I got older in sports, I didn't want to not play sports because I had to go work at the farm. So you do both, right? You do both. You go and you wake up at 4:30 and you go out, drive to the farm, and you pick all day and you pack, and it's hot. It's 110, and you're used to it. And then you go to soccer practice that night, and your teammates have been sitting on the couch all day eating potato chips and drinking soda pop, and you worked all day and you're burying them. And that's where my endurance kind of came into play. Um, which, once you play college football, endurance is great for some things, but it doesn't mean much for other things. But it's where I kind of created that mindset of like, I'm not going to lose. Like, I'm not going to lose a rep. I'm the guy who, when you're doing mat drills and I'm tired, I don't want to show it. I want you to break, right? Like, I want to do, and I know we're getting into detail on mat drills and stuff like that, but like, I want to go front of the line so that you tap out because I'm not going to tap out. And again, it goes back to being in fourth grade, working a zucchini farm, and then going to soccer, football, whatever practice after. And you're just like, you're built different. And I knew I was going to be built different physically. My parents are not that big of people. I'm a 5'8" white guy, but I knew I had to be different mentally. And that just kind of created an edge, and that edge got to be carried over through high school, through college, through other athletic ventures I attempted. And now that I'm, in business, whether it's at our onion farm, it Bring the Juice, at other ventures, throwing an event, that edge is what's kept me, a step ahead, maybe not even a step ahead, but a step that keeps going more than anything. I refuse to fail. I refuse to admit I will lose in anything like that. Um, maybe I've been hanging out with Josh Hokett too much, but if you're gonna beat me, you're gonna have to kill me. It's kind of at that point right now.
Yeah. No, hell yeah.
So that was a loaded answer, but I feel like it broadcasted a little bit.
No, that's perfect, bro. And kind of talk to just the adaptability, because and kind of more context of it too. Like, you're starting your own family. I have a family as well, and your family's growing. But as far as just showing your kids a stat book, that's going to be hard to just be like, show them your stats. But man, like, I will vouch for you to anyone I talk to. You were such a vital piece to our team. I know me and Michael Walker talked about it on our podcast when he was on as well. And just like, how do you adapt to a locker room when guys are so athletic, but it's like, what I want everyone who's listening to this podcast to kind of understand too is that you were a stud in high school. Like, you had tons of stats. Like, you were the offensive key at Memorial. And then it's so difficult to kind of step into the college role. And it's like, okay, where's my role? Like, how do I fit in? Like, am I a special teams guy? Am I going to get a package? Am I going to get a play? Like, kind of talk about just like where the confidence needs to come from as an incoming freshman, and just the adaptability portion of it.
So in high school, it was great. I got to be, I played 3, 4 sports in high school. High school itself, I was kicking, I was returning, I was playing defense, I was playing offense. I did not come off the field my entire high school career, which was awesome. And it's crazy because I would go to camps with guys that were also studs in my class, and they would lose one-on-one reps. I would run a faster route, faster 40. I wouldn't drop any balls. And they'd walk out with the offers, even though I had more touchdowns and I had more yards and had a bigger impact. But they would walk out with the offers. And eventually it just kind of comes to reality. It's like I just don't look the part. That's really what it came down to. People would watch my huddle highlight tape, and the first thing they'd say is, "How tall are you and how much do you weigh?" And it's like, dude, you just watched this highlight tape. It goes crazy. Like, give me a shot, right? And so when Fresno State gave me a shot, I was ecstatic because I knew all I needed was that shot. But when you're the new guy on campus who wasn't a 5-star recruit, it's like, okay, you got to earn your way into this thing. And one thing I always believed in, especially as a leader, because I've always been the captain of my team. I've always been a leader because, I don't want someone else to be the leader and we're going to lose games. Someone better sack up and get a job done. Let it be me, right? Sometimes if you want a job to be done, you got to do it yourself. So I wasn't talking a bunch out of the gate. I was kind of to myself, and I just wanted to become respected. And I knew as a freshman, if I worked my ass off, And whether it was on scout team, whether it was just summer conditioning, like I wasn't going to be the guy who was the weak link. Like I was not going to let that happen to me. And guess what? If I am our weakest link, then we're going to be a strong ass team because I'm not going to be weak. So I just owned my role. I owned my role. I did anything coaches said they needed out of me. Um, I really took into account wanting to represent Fresno State with like high class and integrity and, making sure my grades were good. It wasn't a secret. I had good grades in high school that needed to carry over to balance out the team GPA. So like I made sure I pulled my weight on that. And I redshirted my freshman year, so I was learning a bunch. Red shirts are kind of it's actually I redshirting is actually awesome because you're getting used to everything. But it was that second year, so I'm eligible now, and I knew from the vets that I've learned from, if I had any chance of making the bus, is what they call it, which is traveling, I needed to get on special teams. And that's really hard coming from a guy who got the ball 15 times a game, playing defense, doing all these things, kicking, to where you're just trying to become an L2 on punt return. Like that you have to lock in and be like, that's my goal. Not to score multiple touchdowns, not to be 1,000-yard guy, to become the L2 on punt return. Like that is my goal. That's going to be my path to make the bus. And there was years where I think we had 22 receivers on the roster at one point, and they're traveling 6 or 7. And I'm just like, I need to be able to play, at least know the plays and be in the right position at X, Y, Z, and H. I need to be able to know all the positions where my body type would fit on kickoff return, punt, and punt return. And I'm going to practice field goal block to just be one more asset as to why Frank should make the bus this week. On top of that, I'm going to be a positive force in the locker room, not a locker room lawyer. When the team is lagging, I want to get to the point where I'm respected enough to call someone out. And I don't believe you could call someone out unless you are respected. I can't be calling a guy out for missing times if I'm missing times. I need to be leading the pack, and then I could call somebody out. So it was really tough mentally, but I flipped a switch and I rode with it. The frustrating times came as the years went on, because when you're the freshman and you're playing on special teams, it's great. Junior-ish year was probably my hardest season, because at that point I felt proven. I'd go through a spring ball and you're catching everything. You're winning your one-on-ones. They put you in certain situations where you're running a dig across the middle and you got to cross the face of the middle linebacker to take it away because someone's coming on the back. And I would make sure I crossed that face. Like I'm my splits are correct. And then you put someone in there who's messing up the play and they're dropping the ball and you're like, why is he ahead of me on the depth chart? And the reality is, like, this might just be the harsh truth. I have no bad blood towards anybody for this. But politics are a part of sports. And if you brought in a 3-star recruit that you promised the world to, you kind of need to give him a longer leash than the loyal walk-on who's begging for a scholarship, not because he wants the scholarship to like pay for its stuff. Fresno State's a relatively cheap tuition system. You want a scholarship to earn that respect, right? And it was just hard grinding like that and wondering like why is somebody else getting reps ahead of me? Like they could explain it to me. And I'm not going to name names, but I finally had a coach just tell me like, yeah, man, it's messed up. Like this is just kind of the way it is. And that was a hard pill to swallow because you're fighting. you expect things to be fair because maybe if you were the coach, you would think that way. And I know it's not one person's decision. It's a staff. It's a cumulative. There's politics. Um, I was always also a very team first guy. Like I would keep quiet and not cause a scene because I'd rather us keep winning than maybe I get a package that week or something like that. So again, that mind of mine just kept getting calloused, and I really had to come tight with my faith that year because I would just be thinking to myself like I have a 4.0. I won every mat drill. I'm winning one-on-ones. Like I'm assignment. I'm the only guy who's assignment perfect. Like why is this not working? At least get like an honest shot, like at least an honest shot. And I don't know. I've always had, God in my life. And I just kind of always would be one of the first people in the hot tub or getting treatment in the morning. And I would show up and say a prayer. And I would just keep telling myself, all you can do is control the controllables. If you're going to get given 4 plays today, make those 4 plays perfect, right? If you're going to have ball security, bust your ass during ball security today, okay? If you're going to get those reps at L2, you know how it's going to go. It's going to be period 13. You're going to get 2 reps at L2, and you're competing with the guy who's older than you on scholarship. Find a way to make it to where you earn that L2. And as a receiver, it's difficult. And me and my brothers, being a family of receivers, we've talked about this. And Marcus, I know you can attest to this too. If you're a receiver and you want to make a play, yes, you might be the backside post that needs to take the safety. That's doing your job. But if you want to get a catch, which is your goal as a receiver, all receivers want the ball. In order to get a catch, you need to, 1, be in the game. 2, the offensive coordinator needs to call a play that passes the ball. 3, the snap needs to happen. The quarterback needs to catch that snap. 4, there needs to be protection. 5, you need to be able to see me. 6, I need to be open. 7, you need to throw me an accurate ball. And 8, I need to catch that motherfucker, right? 8 things have to happen for a receiver to get a catch. And listen, I'm breaking that down like a caveman, and it happens in what? 1.5 seconds on a quick slant sometimes. So it's a bang bang scenario. But the truth is, you'll in a game for sure, but in practice, if you have 4 reps and 2 of them are runs and 1 pass is meant for the tight end and the other one's meant for one of the 3 receivers, I need 8 of those things to go right in order for you to throw me the ball. And it's like maybe that pass is the one where coaches are like, okay, Frank could really run a climb route, or he's really good at a Seahawk route. Let him. Maybe we package him in for this. So those days where you have the Seahawk route, and some freshman O linemen mess the snap up, and they're like, all right, on to the next period. You're like, damn, 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 damn. That sucks. And you hope again tomorrow, right? You hope you get another chance tomorrow. So going back to the controllables, it's something I had to accept. It's something though that is the best thing I could have ever learned. And it was really hard for a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple stages of life. It was really difficult. But it calloused me to the point where I don't let emotion get involved. If I know I leave no stone unturned, I could go to bed at night, look at myself in the mirror, being like, you did everything you could today. You took care of your body. You got treatment. You ice tubbed after practice. You taped when you were supposed to. You did a good warm up. You got the inside release. You broke in at 10. You were flat on the line, and the ball just didn't come to you. Dude, you can't be mad at yourself for that. So knowing that all I had to do was make sure I had extreme detailed execution for whatever plan it might be that day. That prepared me to accept the fact that if things didn't go my way, even though I did everything in my control, you can't be mad at that, man. That's life. There's things that come at you that you don't expect, but control the controllables and keep moving forward. Obviously, bob and weave, adapt, but it's something that was really hard in my football career. But going back to own your role, I realized I am not here to just try to be a receiver that scores touchdown for us. I realized I am a culture guy. I'm a guy who, as the years went on, I earned that respect, even though I wasn't an all conference starter or anything like that. Like, I earned that respect. And the older I get, I realize, like, it's kind of a rare breed. Like, there's a lot of people behind me that have maybe been in my shoes that don't quite gravitate towards that. And, like, our friend group, my friends, the people who I've hung out with, they are all, starters and captains and stuff like that. It's like, I didn't feel out of place because maybe on Saturday when we're playing against San Jose State, I'm not getting 10 catches. Like, I never felt that type of way about things.
But yeah, no, honestly, I think the part that you almost overlook in your story too, that you probably don't give yourself enough credit for, is I remember being at Oregon State, and just because you make it as a walk-on does not guarantee you're going to be there the following year or even make it through season. Like, I vividly remember being at Oregon State, we're doing summer workouts. Summer workouts are like, it's our last like grind where the strength staff could really push the hell out of us, because after that, they kind of have to like tinkle, take care of us, like, hey, we're getting ready for season. And you could kind of tell the shift in the strength staff, like, oh, coach is telling me I can't really push you guys. So that's like the last like hard stretch of workouts. And I remember we had a walk on. He was a linebacker. He was just getting there. And I remember he had an injury. It's like his ankle or something like that. And it was like really small. And everyone's kind of joking, like, bro, we didn't see you do anything. Like, I don't think anything's wrong. But he had a boot. So we're like, whatever, bro. Like, you know your body more than you know anyone else. And then we find out, like, 2 days later, he's acting hurt, like he's not doing anything. The coach, one of the strength coaches, waves him on downtown, sees him. The car's at a crosswalk. That's our strength coach. Waves him on at a crosswalk, and he sprints across the road. And literally, because of that, the coach saw that the dude was literally kicked off the next day, and we're like that quick,
Wow.
like you're off the team immediately, just trying to get out of workouts. But it's like, that's how quick, like you said, I could attest to being a scholarship athlete. There are so many politics in football side of things to where, like you said, they're going to have a longer leash. I remember being at rookie minicamp with the Raiders, and Hunter Renfrow was there, and I'm sure he doesn't make very many mistakes, but I saw him make a few that day when we're all learning a new playbook. And when he messed up, it was like, hey, it's okay, Hunter, come here. But one of the other guys made a mistake, and it was like, you're an idiot, dumb. Like, and they started going. But I was like, I get it. You got millions of dollars invested in this guy versus we're just out here trying to get it. Like, I'm hoping I make the team, So
Totally.
It is different dynamics. So kind of talk to that. I mean, just a reality, like, how do you continuously prove your worth from a player to coach perspective?
Again, it goes back to respect, and that came with time. It was difficult, I will say, because I had coaching staff changes, and after like I said, I redshirted, but after that redshirt freshman season, I played a lot my freshman year, and Coach DeRuiter got fired, and I finished the year out strong. And when Tedford came in, we went through a spring ball, as you know. And before that season, though, ended, I was told I was going to be put on scholarship. And, Teddy kind of just like, hey, I kind of need to see something. And after that first spring, this is probably public now, but like Tedford trimmed the fat. He cut probably 20, 25 guys. And I'll never forget, the meetings were like from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. And I am the 6 p.m. on Friday night slot. And I'm upstairs in the waiting room. Everyone going into his office, coming out crying. They're getting cut. So I'm like, God, come on, man.
Chopped
Come
liver.
on, man.
It's a wrap, yeah.
We sit down, and me and Tedford just talked about like the palm trees on the 152. Like we're talking about farming. We're talking about nothing about football. I'm 18, 19 years old, shaking in my boots. Like, am I still a D1 football player for my dream school, or am I going to have to go get a job at, Save Mart Center right now? So he just said, he's like, your effort's insane. You're exactly what we want. We need to get you on special teams. So he gave me a path, but I wasn't given that scholarship. And it was kind of like, I need you to prove it. And kind of a cool story, but eventually, as the time went on, I got put on scholarship. And my first sum of money was a substantial amount, and I don't know the exact terminology on it. Don't quote me on it, but it was basically, you know, the prior semester too. And I took that money. It was about $14,000, and it was ecstatic for me because I finally. It took me to be, a redshirt junior to get that scholarship when I expected it 2 years earlier, but I finally got it. We didn't make a big deal out of it. I didn't have some big promo video or anything like that, but it was in his office with a handshake and a hug. And I took that money, bought my wife's wedding ring with it, bought the engagement ring and the wedding ring with it. And I've told Coach Ted for that before. It was cool because I got the checks to pay rent as time went on. But like my mom was like, you don't need $14,000 right now. We're saying this pre NIL era,
Yeah.
but
That was a lot of money back then. Yeah.
I was huge.
Yeah.
And I took that money and I saved it. And I was like, when it was time I wanted to propose to my now wife, I used that money to buy her the wedding ring. And that memory stays, very close to my heart because it was an emotional day for me. Um, it doesn't matter the fashion in which it happened. I'm so glad it did happen. And it's not like man, that staff, our team was really freaking good. Like there wasn't many weak links. So to be able to walk through the fire, through all those cuts, all that stuff. I mean, it was something. The night of those cuts, I came home to my house. I had 4 roommates. They were all scholarship players. I'm like, boys, we all made it. Hell yeah! Like, let's go. One of my buddies is bottle deep. He's like, not all of us.
Yeah.
Oh man, sorry, I didn't ask everybody before. I just assumed I was the only one on the hot seat. Um, But like I said, man, it all came back to earning respect, and I know, especially as we get older, and we're alumni now, the touchdowns and the tackles and the wins even, they're not diluted because they'll always be there. But when I see a guy now, being 29 years old, almost 30, I more want to remember. Did he make that tackle against Toledo, or did I respect him as a guy? Did he work his ass off, or did he try to cheat the system and get out of summer conditioning? Right? Did he miss treatment and then pull his hammy in a game and it cost us a touchdown? That was the difference maker. Like I'm glad I stuck to wanting to be respected because I knew that was going to be my path. But it really goes to show you, if you're not respected, what are you? You know? And I'd rather be a respected guy who gets 500 yards a season than an unrespected guy who gets 1,000 yards a season. Maybe it's cool for the moment, but I don't think it is. Better yet, be the respected guy who gets 1,000 yards a season. That's where you hit that badass tier. That's who you should thrive to be. Don't think you're bigger than the program ever. You're not. And I know me and you crossed many paths with guys who thought they were bigger than the program, and I didn't. I've yet to see a situation where it doesn't come and bite them in the butt down the road. So, like I said, it was a process. It was something that I loved. I loved the process. We had a great strength and conditioning staff for for our era. I was blessed to have three different strength and conditioning coaches that all taught me something different and calloused my mind in different ways. But when you play college football, you're with that strength staff more than anybody. So if you could get on the same page as them, they kind of set the tempo for what the program is going to be, whether they're going to be a respected team amongst each other, whether they're going to be hard asses, whether they're just going to be sloppy and go based off talent. And the standard was set high, and I wanted to be an example who upheld the standard.
Yeah, no, and I feel like you've done, I mean, even just transitioning into your adult life now post playing, I mean, transitioning to that respect and that integrity and holding yourself to a high standard and holding her up, all the stuff that we learned in a football meeting room. I feel like there's a good amount of guys on that team from that 28 team specifically that have transitioned well into kind of adult life just through applying those same standards. And I don't know if you remember this conversation, but I remember when Bring the Juice first started, I kind of explained Athlete Country Club. I believe I called it U Academy at the time back then. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm working on something similar. And I think the difference between vision and execution is such a big difference. And I think I was pondering on an idea for years, for a really long time, and you took action immediately. And I've always respected that about you. I mean, fast forward now today, obviously I have Athlete Country Club will be a year in October, but I mean, you've had essentially like a 3-year head start of just trial and error and networking and content creation and branding and kind of building the ecosystem you have today. And I know your personality and you're such a hustler and a go-getter, but for everyone listening, like how important is it taking action before you feel completely ready?
Well, before I launched Bring the Juice, I went through about 3 notebooks of ideas, and I wanted to have a calculated plan. But I knew once I made the plan, I wanted to be consistent and not fail. Ultimately, you don't know what you're doing when you start something new. Nobody does, ever. But if you just keep showing up every day and refusing to fail, things will eventually work itself out. And like I view it like a chess game. You know, if you want to get in with the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, well, you know a guy who played with the backup of the 49ers. So if you could get with that guy, then he gets you with the backup, and now you're all of a sudden you're one link away from the guy who's the starting quarterback of the 49ers. That's not using people, that's utilizing your network. And obviously, with time, I've learned some things do better than others. I've learned some events are money losers, some events are money winners. I've also learned what do I want out of this? And it's a moving target because, out of the gate, when I was done with my athletic journey, I literally Googled best ways to make money on the side. And number one was write a book. Write a book, send 1 million copies at $10 a pop, $10 million. Well, shit, that's a great idea. The second bullet point was start a podcast. And I was like, okay, I could see the vision here. If I could get it to a point where, I get 5 sponsors that are paying $1,000 a month, that's an extra 5,000 bucks a month. That's $60,000 for a year. That's awesome, right? That's awesome. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and it's just something that I pondered, and I was like, what do I talk about? Do I talk about farming because I'm a farm kid and that's kind of a rare thing on media? Nah, I don't know enough about it. I wouldn't want to have some 80-year-old farmer who's been doing this for 60 years. I'm going to realize I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Do I want to just be a, guy who talks about Fresno State? Yes, to an extent, but at the same time, Fresno State's this big and the world's this big. Like, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. And I came to the realization I'm trying to chase greatness. That's what it came down to. No matter what, as a dad, as a husband, as a business owner, as a guy who's trying to do, nonprofit stuff, as a guy who wants to play beer pong on the weekend, I don't want to lose, right? I want to chase greatness. So I wanted to have athletes on a platform who are chasing greatness and be able to translate their experience to the normal Joe, right? And I think football players, even D1, they're viewed as these celebrity superheroes, which they are, but they're also the most normal people on earth. So if I could be the bridge to show the normality of these superheroes to the normal folk, I think there's some things that these athletes have faced, some adversity that they faced that can be applied to everyday life. And that's really what I was trying to do. I was trying to compare the adversity that I faced in my athletic career and how I faced it and handled it to the adversity that I'm facing now in normal life as a business owner, as a family man. And obviously my personality is rowdy and high energy. So I just kind of incorporated it. And Bring the Juice itself was a saying we had playing football at Fresno State. And I mentioned owning my role. And, I was kind of just on a day where it was flat. Andy Ward would look at me and be like, hey, you got to pick these guys up. Like, this is your shit. So it just felt natural. And I knew for a fact I didn't want to have a platform where I could have someone else on and I would not know what they're talking about because there's so many tiers above me. But I feel confident I could have Tom Brady on my show and I won't understand exactly everything, but I could understand that switch in his brain. I didn't live it, but I could get it and I could evolve off of a question off of that. Michael Jordan, I think I could interview Michael Jordan and ask the right questions at a different tier that maybe like HBO producers wouldn't ask. Because there is such thing as what I call a dark place. And the dark place is you when you're in the shower by yourself with a million things going through your head and the water's just hitting you in the face. It's when you're driving at 4 a.m. to work or to a workout with no music on and it's just your thoughts. And it's not you sad, it's you trying to build this emotion as fuel to go make a power move, to go kick something's ass, whatever it might be.
No, I love that, bro. And I think for you, I mean, it's grown so much bigger than just a podcast, right? I mean, you have the merchandise, the golf tournament, the networking, kind of the Super Bowl media credentials, your foundation, your community impact, and you're kind of stepping into a new venture now with Bring the Juice Sports Group. So kind of just give a little context to what you're creating there.
I have always felt like I've been a connector. I've always had a feel for it. I've always wanted to be the guy that creates the team bonding, the guy who will make the party come to life or be like, hey, let's all go get lunch together at this restaurant. Whether that's connecting friend groups or just teammates in the same room that might have a little beef, I've always believed if your team is strong, you will go far together. So as time went on and I needed to start hustling to make ends meet for Bring the Juice, I was getting introduced to companies and knocking on doors, right? Sending cold call emails, doing all these things to where I put myself in a position where I created a Rolodex of connections. And as my teammates started going into the professional sports world, I wanted to hook them up. I wanted to help them out. And then you throw events and you get more connections. And, with each of these connections, I didn't want to burn any bridge. I wanted to execute and represent their company with the highest integrity and character as possible. Same way I wanted to do at Fresno State. So it evolved, and it's always been on the table connecting people. But really what happened is our former teammate and friend, Josh Hokett, he quit the 49ers and started fighting Bellator. Well, he didn't have any money. You don't get paid anything for that stuff. Bring the Juice was on his shorts. We recruited a few other Valley businesses to be on there as well. I wanted to help him out. I believed in his dream. He was good to me and came on the show when I started Bring the Juice, just like you. Like, I'm appreciative of the guys who help kickstart things. I will never forget that or think I'm, too big time or whatever it is. Like, I always want to help. If a buddy of mine opened a restaurant, I'd eat there all the time. I'd host award ceremonies there. So all that to be said, I helped Josh kind of maneuver some stuff. I helped a few other athletes in the NFL maneuver some deals, and a lot's happened. He's in the UFC now. He's, undefeated. He had what are people saying, the craziest heavyweight UFC fight of all time, right? He's ranked, I think, number 5 in the world right now. He's fighting on the White House card, which is arguably one of the biggest, I mean, love it or hate it, arguably one of the biggest sporting events in the last century, I guess. It has the potential to be. And he's on it. And he just kind of called me and said, hey, he gained 100,000 followers in one day. He wanted me to help him out to a degree that I won't get too far into, but the reality is I told him I wanted to be the guy who had his foot on the gas. I wanted to have the hungry dog runs faster mentality and let me go work and see what I can make happen. We had success very fast, like within days of me hunting for deals for him. And these are deals he's earned. He's earned the right to get sponsorships and partnerships and brand deals because he's the one in the octagon, throwing blows with 280-pound grown-ass men. So I wanted to be fair with him. I wanted to help him out. I also knew that I've been connecting people for so long, whether it's events or individuals, that I needed to formalize it finally. I needed to launch a separate page, a separate LLC, a separate email, separate bank account to execute this plan. And I just did it. I said, why not? It's not that hard. An LLC, Google how to start an LLC. There's websites that help you out. I mean, I already have a good chunk of experience doing my Bring the Juice business ventures. But it was just the right time and the right place. And it wasn't overnight. It's taken 5 years to build up these connections and this reputation of a guy who's good to work with, which is tough sometimes, especially with all the many hats that I wear. But I'm just in a position where I want to win. Anybody who I work with, I want them to win. If my name is attached to it, I'm going to put my all into it. And that's kind of been my hardest thing lately is saying no. I want to do everything. I want to help guys out. I hate saying no. I want to be a winner. No is correlation to the word can't. And I hate saying I can't. I don't want to think I can't do anything. But with all that being said, Juice Sports Group was launched, and I'm busting my butt to make it come to life where athletes are going to be connected with brands. Brands are going to be connected with athletes. With my media team and knowledge, we're going to make content look great to where everyone's happy campers. And even in the 2 weeks, it's got me in some pretty cool rooms with some pretty cool people. So, we'll see how it goes. But I know I'm going to keep chopping wood and carrying water. I know I'm willing to run as fast as I can, even though the distance is currently unknown. And, I used to say I want to climb the top of the mountain. There's no top of the mountain. When you're wired a certain type of way, you always want more. You always want what's next. You always want to think bigger and evolve. And some people say you'll never be satisfied. I'd rather not be satisfied than be complacent.
Yeah, everything you just talked about. I mean, it's kind of hard to even contextualize what you've done over the last 5 years, and just kind of, there's not a doubt in my mind that you walking into Juice Sports Group, that's going to be a success. And I think a lot of people too, even sports and brands and people you're working with, they're not so much investing in the business plan every single time. A lot of people I've talked to and donors, like, we're investing in the CEO, which is you in this case. It's like, we know, like, me as a friend, and I'm saying this is going to be a success because Frank Dalena is involved with it, and he's going to drive himself crazy to make sure that it becomes a success. And just one way I always like to kind of end the podcast is for whatever reason, I forgot to hit record, or the whole podcast got erased and kind of disappeared tomorrow. through just your personal experience, I mean, all the guests, NFLs, Olympians, Super Bowl people you've interviewed, what are 2 to 3 truths that are always going to be true and will withstand the test of time about becoming successful?
Wow, it's a deep question. Control the controllables. That's your attitude, that's your effort, and that's your preparation. I would also go on the limb and say if you don't have God in your life yet, you will, because shit will hit the fan. So have God in your life because it will just make things better. And then I would say, respectfully, have the honey badger mindset. Do not care what anybody thinks. They don't know shit. And I could speak testaments to that because I know there were people whispering when I started doing Bring the Juice of he's trying to be an influencer, all this, that, and the other. Guess what? Now they're buying hats and they follow us still. And that's not a flex. That's just me saying nobody sees a vision the way you see a vision. And everyone's afraid to take risks right now. Take the risk, especially in the generation we're in. I think our generation, I used to say our generation's soft. They're not soft. They just don't take risks the way generations ahead of us have. Generations that built our country have. Take risks, chop wood, carry water. It's all I got.
I love that, bro. That was awesome. That was perfect. And I think just this episode and just kind of overall summary of it all is like, I think this episode just felt like, I mean, 2 former teammates just kind of tackling life, kind of football, business, growth, evolving. We're husbands, fathers. And I think just your story is such a reminder. I think just like, you don't need permission to start. And I think that's where a lot of our generation comes to a fault. I mean, Bring the Juice didn't begin with a massive production team or huge sponsorships. It started with just you taking action, being consistent, and kind of the willingness to learn, and just kind of through trial and error. And from being, I mean, a Fresno State walk-on to building one of the most recognizable sports media brands in the Central Valley. I mean, Frank, I mean, you proved that. I mean, embracing your role, kind of staying consistent and betting on yourself could, I mean, completely change your life trajectory. And honestly, one of the biggest takeaways for me is just hearing how much your environment matters. I mean, whether that's growing up in like a competitive household or being inside college locker room or surrounding yourself with people that are, I mean, essentially just chasing greatness. And brother, I can't thank you enough for kind of taking some time. You kind of have any final thoughts you want to drop off, a little wisdom before we go?
Nah, man, I'm proud of you for launching the platform and sticking to it. The hardest thing about anything in life is consistency. It takes balls to try to do something on social media too, and I think people don't understand that. I said people send me espresso martini reviews and they get all nervous. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. When the lights are on, it's a little tough, but keep doing your thing. I will come on the show anytime you want. Obviously, we go back far, and you're a friend for life, no matter where you're living in the world.
Yeah, I appreciate you,
So
bro.
keep chopping wood, carrying water, man, and I seriously, you need you need people like each other in our circle, and Marcus, you're a guy, and for people who don't know me and Marcus's relationship, like there's different tiers of people. Marcus could call me with an idea, and I'm not gonna flinch that it's crazy necessarily. I could call him with an idea, and he won't flinch that it's crazy. There's not a lot of people like that these days because they're very small minded, right? If I say, hey, I need to raise 10,000, you might go, why not 100,000? Or vice versa. Why not a million? And you kind of just go like, yeah. Versus some people flinch at that type of stuff. And I'm talking numbers there. It's anything. It's vision. But I'm appreciative of you to have your phone number at my disposal where I mean, we've never been the type who have to formalize anything. It's like I could call you and not talk to you for 6 months and it's like, why is Frank calling me? It's just like, what's up? So you are right about having the people in your life. Obviously, family's big, picking the right wife's big, but having your boys who are on the same trajectory of you as you. Because I got a lot of buddies who, they're still living at home in their parents' basement, not really having a job. They're my boys, but I want to be surrounded by killers, by high level functioning individuals. So take a look around your circle and ask yourself, are they being assets or liabilities to my life? If they're not being assets, well, they better have a boat or something.
Brother, I can't thank you enough, bro. I mean, I could say the same thing about you. We could go on an edifying, long, hour-long conversation, compliment each other. So we'll just end it here, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much, brother. Until next time, guys, it's Athlete Country Club. Peace.